first off, before we get started, Microsoft, of course, is very committed to Copilot. So as soon as you come into a Microsoft Word document, if you have a Copilot license, you're going to see some changes on the screen that we didn't have before, and they've kind of been updated recently, where at the top of my screen, you can actually see what is called a summary. So it's actually giving us Copilot right at the top of the document now. So it is automatically analyzing the file when you open it, and it's using Copilot to do that. So if you see that at the top of your screen, that means that you have a Copilot license. Also, the other indicator is when I look at the left-hand side of my document, I see a Copilot icon. That is conveniently there to help you draft your document. So if you're not seeing those elements on your screen like mine, I just wanted to explain that those are Copilot related, and you would have to have a license to use that. So your screen might look a little bit different than mine does. But speaking of looking different in our documents, the first topic in your handout is actually called using the navigation pane. Right now, I do not have a navigation pane turned on. I'm actually going to go to the ribbon at the top, to the View tab. I'm going to go to the View tab of the ribbon. And when I go to that View tab, one thing that may not be turned on your screen, I have it turned on mine right now, but I can see my rulers. So if you can't see a ruler on the left side of the screen or a ruler at the top of the screen, here on the View tab, go to the Show Group. From here, you can click the box in front of ruler to turn those on. I will be referring to the ruler in our session today, so I just wanted to make sure if you didn't have it turned on, you should turn it on. And then also, I'm going to check the box in front of navigation pane so that it opens the navigation pane on the left-hand side. Mine is usually here all the time. I actually closed it right before this class started just because I wanted to show how to open it. Now, what exactly is this navigation pane? Well, it is exactly what it says. It's a way to navigate your document. Notice on the left-hand side, it also has this search document. So if you're looking for information within your document, that is where we go to search. Different than what you use in like Excel or other Microsoft apps, here it actually uses the navigation pane for the find capability to search within the document. But what else can you use the navigation pane for? And that's what I want to describe for you today. So when you are using a Word document, we have formatting that we can apply to our text, to our data. So the first paragraph in my Word document, which is using this defragmenter, I have that formatted from the Home tab of the ribbon. So just to point out where this is located at, what I'm talking about, is on the Home tab of the ribbon, we have the Styles group. It is a gallery of different choices. It's got this down arrow, and from that down arrow, you can see other styles. But basically, what these styles are is a way to format your information consistently throughout your document. So you know how when you come into a document, if it's a blank document and you just start typing, it uses a style called normal. It uses a style called normal. So it's using the normal font and the settings with that font, the font size, the paragraph alignment, all of those settings are a part of that normal style. So just to briefly show you, if I go to a blank document and I start typing, you can see on the Home tab of the ribbon, the default font is Aptos Body size 12. It's using the normal font, or I should say the normal style. So styles are being used even if you never knew that. They are being used because it's the default font size, line spacing, paragraph spacing, etc., is all defined by default by the normal style. But when I'm in this document, this practice file, my first paragraph, I selected that paragraph, which I just go to the left-hand side. I have my arrow when I'm in the left margin. I can have my mouse pointer be my arrow. If I click at that paragraph, technically that line, it's going to select everything in that line. When I have it selected, I went to the styles gallery of choices and I clicked heading 1. Now, what exactly did that do? It applied the style that is the background of heading 1, which in this document, it's Cambria heading size 16, and it has a different font color. If I go to my font colors, I can see that it's using the orange color at the top of that column. That's the color it's using. So it's doing that automatically. Now that's based on my theme and some other things in the background. But just so you get an idea, if I'm going to have a document that is going to have headings, subheadings, because we want to categorize the topics we're talking about in a document, just like your handout is created. So if you look at your handout where it says use the navigation pane, browse by headings, rearrange data in your document, those are all styles. I didn't go and format those. I just selected it and chose a style to use. So just so you know, every document you have that you open up has access to those styles. Now, I'll show you how to change the style formatting if we wanted to, but for right now, just so you could see, I had selected this paragraph and I told the computer to use heading 1. So it formatted it automatically. Then this paragraph that says to open disk defragmenter, that is formatted with the style heading 2. So if I look at my styles gallery, it's using this icon, heading 2, which when I look in the font group, right now that is Cambria heading size, font size 13. So it's doing that by me just selecting those styles. I do that so that I have consistent formatting throughout my document to make it more efficient on how I apply that formatting and keep it consistent. But also the reason I do that, I use styles in every document because it uses the navigation pane. So every time that you apply a style, heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3, it's adding hyperlinks, technically, to the navigation pane to be able to navigate the document by using those styles. So just so you can see, I'm going to scroll down a little bit to where it says at the bottom of the first page, removing unneeded files. I'm going to click in that paragraph and I'm going to go to my styles and I'm going to choose heading 1, which by the way, I didn't even have to select the entire paragraph. I just have to click my mouse within that paragraph. I'm going to click heading 1 and it applied the style heading 1, Cambria size, font size 16. And it added that to the navigation pane on the left-hand side. So as you continue to navigate through your document, if you want to use headings, like heading 1 and then a subheading, heading 2, and a subheading to that, heading 3, do so with the styles. So if I go to this remove temporary internet files, I'm going to choose heading 2. In the navigation pane, it indents it under the heading 1 because it's a second level in a hierarchy of heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. If I select to use disk cleanup, that paragraph, and I choose the down arrow in my styles and choose heading 3, It indents it in the navigation pane to go under remove temporary internet files, which is indented under removing unnecessary files, unneeded files, I should say. But the benefit of all of this is it's keeping the formatting consistent. We didn't have to do the formatting. The computer has it built in for us to use. And we can use the navigation pane to be able to navigate throughout the document. So if I want to go back to using this defragmenter, I go to the navigation pane on the left, I click that style in the navigation pane, it navigates me in my document directly to that text. So I love the navigation pane. I love using styles because it's more efficient. Matthew, did we have a question before I continue?
Yes. It looks like someone is wondering, why didn't the heading 1 selection turn orange? Maybe just a question on what influences the coloring of the headings?
Great question.
Yeah.
So let me answer that with two different answers. So first off, the default of how the style is formatted, the color, the font it's using, the font size, that's all coming from the theme you are using. What do I mean by that? And this is in your handout, by the way. If you go to the Design tab of the ribbon, go to the Design tab. On the left-hand side, we have two different things I'll mention here. On the left-hand side, we have themes. Themes dictate the default fonts and default colors that are being used in your document. Microsoft has recently changed their default. So the standard format is this theme called Office. If I click Office, it changes the color to green. Now, what else did it change? Well, I'll just jump back to the Home tab of the ribbon for a second. It's using Aptos display heading size 16. And the font color is green. But where in the world did this font color come from? Because you're not seeing that in your handout, but I was using the default theme. Technically, where that color is coming from is back on the Design tab. So yes, I'm using the theme, which is the standard theme for Microsoft called Office. These are your normal default fonts and default colors that we get. But what I also chose was a document formatting. This document formatting overrides the themes. So as I hesitate, I can see all these different icons, and each one of them has a name, like Basic Elegant. This one's called Basic Simple. This one is actually called Basic Stylish. So these can change, and some of these have uppercase text automatically for heading 1s. Some of them have underlines. They have bullets. Well, it's technically numbering where it can use Roman numerals, it can use WBS codes, that kind of thing. Look at all these different ways to instantly change your document. These are fantastic. I love these. I don't work hard. Well, I do work hard, but I don't work hard on formatting my document. I use styles and I use themes and this document formatting. So when I hesitate on this one, look at what it did. Totally changed things. It's giving borders, I should say, background cell colors to that paragraph. It's a background paragraph color. So pretty cool that we have all of these to instantly change your formatting. Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, it appears they're wondering actually, when you chose a new paragraph and applied heading 1 to it, it did not turn orange like the one at the beginning. So some are turning blue, some are turning orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's because of the colors. So let me go back and explain what I mean by that. So right now
Yeah.
mine is green. So mine went from
Yes.
orange to green. Where in the world is that coming from?
Yeah.
So this document formatting can dictate different elements of it because some of them are colors, but the color is actually coming from the home tab of the ribbon. It's coming from the font color. So notice my color right now is green. Remember a second ago when I showed you it was orange? My
Right.
my right-hand column was orange, but when I switched my theme, whatever theme I switched it to changes the colors.
Yeah.
So it's going to change the formatting to match that color. But what if I don't want it to be green, blue, purple, whatever? What if I want it to be just a standard black font? I can change it. I like everything else, but I want this heading 1 to be a black font. And what if I wanted to have a bottom border going across? I can
Yes.
change it and tell the computer to update it everywhere in the document. So if I like parts of it, but I want to add a special element, I want to change the paragraph formatting, I want to change the paragraph alignment, I want to change it to being double spaced instead of single spaced, all you have to do is be selected or within that current, well, I'm going to select this just so you can see. I'll select this text. I'm going to change it to what I want it to be. So I'm going to go to my font color. I'm going to choose automatic and I'm going to bold it. I'm going to say I want it to be bold because right now it's not bold. I'm going to click B for bold and I'm going to say that I want it to have a bottom border. I'm going to go to my paragraph group. I'm going to click the icon for border. Now I have a bottom border going all the way across. Now, if I want that to be consistent through my document, every place that I used heading 1 as a style, I can go to my heading 1 style in my gallery of choices on my home tab of the ribbon. Right click on that icon for heading 1. Tell it to update heading 1 to match selection. It's going to update it everywhere in the document. Now it all matches. So I can see any place that I use heading 1, it automatically looks the same. To me, this is so efficient. I don't want to work harder than I need to, and you shouldn't either. Okay.
Yeah.
Did that
And then
answer everything, Matthew?
I think so. But just to clarify then,
Uh-huh.
um, heading 1 is that's the theme color. Orange is the theme color for heading 1, but the blue underneath is heading 2. So that is just in this theme that you selected.
It's
The
based
second
on that
heading
theme.
is blue.
Yep.
That is
But if you
that
don't
is
want it to be blue, you can change it,
yeah,
just like I showed.
perfect.
So it's going to be based on the design tab. It's going to be based on first the theme. And just so you could see, if I'm hesitating on these, watch my document. I can see a live preview of what it would end up looking like if I chose a different theme. Now, some of those elements with the heading 1 stay the same, but the font is automatically changing because I was using my theme font. So it's a little bit complicated to think about this, but if I use a theme font for my headings and I switch a theme, it changes to match the theme. But if I overrode the font and use something that wasn't part of my theme, then it stays. It's hard to understand all that with
Yeah.
just learning it, but I got to tell you, this is how I work in every day, all day long. I'm in Microsoft Word and I am constantly using themes. I'm using styles every day. I use styles because I want the computer to format things for me.
Right.
But these document formatting options can instantly change your entire document based on the styles you are using. So it can make it a report. It can make it more professional. It can make it more simple. All of those are there to help you. without you having to do the work. Okay. Anything else, Matthew, before I transition to another topic?
Yeah, and just to close out maybe this one,
Uh-huh.
do these themes get reset when you open a different document?
Yes.
Perfect. So they go
So,
back to the original formatting every
so
time you open a new document.
no,
No?
let me explain. So if I show you, so here's the handout. So here's the handout. I created your handout in Microsoft Word, and I am using headings. So this the navigation pane. You could see all my headings over on my left-hand side. So what exactly is the formatting for heading 1? It's coming from the default theme. So if I start a brand new document, so if I'm in a new document and I type, use the navigation pane, by default, it's using the normal style. But if I choose heading 1, it's using Aptos display size 20. That is the default style heading 1 coming from the theme Office. So that is Microsoft's default. But somebody in this class could have their own company theme that they are sometimes forced to use. Like if I go to themes, I have a theme called Athon 2025 that would change all of my items to match that company theme. But by default, if you don't have a company theme, we use Office automatically. That's what you get with every blank new document, unless IT changed it in the background on you to say every time you do it, you have to use our company theme. So I hope that helps.
I think so. Thank you, Jolene.
Absolutely. So just to kind of clarify this a little bit. And I'm going to just move my document back over here. But when we talk about these themes and we talk about using styles and we've got this great navigation pane on the left-hand side, that's only part of the benefits of this navigation pane. Because what if I decided in my document, as I'm going through and I'm deciding, okay, this is a heading 1, this is a heading 2, et cetera, as I'm going through my document. So if I go to this paragraph and I tell the computer that I want this to be a heading 2, great, it formats it to match the heading 2. So in my navigation pane on the left-hand side, another benefit of using that navigation pane is we can use it to rearrange the document. So this is the order everything appears from top to bottom. And I can look at the left-hand side and see that. But what if I decided I want this information about a window will open that is calculating the amount of space? What if I want that to go before remove temporary internet files? I don't have to go select it all. I just go to the navigation pane on the left. I click and drag that heading to, notice when I'm holding my mouse down, I get the line, drop it where I want it to go to reorganize my entire document. So I use it for purposes like that as well. Because when we first start writing everything, and I do this every day, I'm in here writing everything and I want to rearrange it. I do it by the headings. I don't go select the text, cut it, and then go to where I want to put it and paste it. If it has a heading, I do it that way instead, because then I know it's taking everything underneath that heading until it gets to the next heading. It's taking all of that together, whether it's text, graphics, tables, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever is in that group of data moves together. Pretty cool. You probably are working a lot harder than you need to. You definitely want to start taking advantage of these elements that we have available built into Microsoft Word. Okay, definitely want to do that. So kind of back to this, sorry, got to maximize that back out here again. Back to kind of talking more about, how do we want things to work here in Microsoft Word. A lot of times to understand what you have going on in your document, there is a feature in the home tab of the ribbon in the paragraph group that is actually called show hide. So if you've ever, I'm old, so I'd used to, well, I didn't do shorthand, but I know of people uh, prior to me that did shorthand. If you turn on this show hide icon in this paragraph group here, that will show you all non-printing characters within your document. Now, what do I mean by non-printing characters? I mean, every time that you press the space bar, every time that you press your enter key, you press your tab key, etc., it's going to display those non-printing characters. Why is this something you could be using in Microsoft Word? Because it's going to help you to know what is going on in those spaces. Because is this a hard return in this extra space, or was it paragraph spacing? Because we have paragraph spacing that, of course, can be used to give us extra space before a paragraph or after a paragraph. So just so you know, may want to know what exactly is that. So I can see if it is a hard return, I see that non-printing character. Now I'm going to turn it back off because I personally don't like to see them all the time, but where my cursor is blinking is in that extra space after that paragraph defragmenter consolidates fragmented and right before to open disk defragmenter. I know there's an empty space. But what if I get rid of that empty space? I could do my backspace or my delete key, get rid of that empty space. It just got rid of that hard return is what it did. Because when you look at that paragraph for disk defragmenter consolidates, if I select that paragraph, if I select the text in that paragraph, notice it has extra space at the bottom of that paragraph before the next text starts. There's an extra space. That's your paragraph spacing. And by the way, that's in your handout. Just so you know, everything that I'm referring to is in your handout. So why do we do that? Well, sometimes we want to have extra space left before a paragraph and or after a paragraph because we want things to be spread out a little bit. Paragraph spacing is very different than line spacing. So if I'm within this paragraph and I go to the paragraph group, I go to the paragraph group on the home tab of the ribbon. Just so you're aware, there's this icon that I'm hesitating on right now called line and paragraph spacing. If you select line and paragraph spacing, right now, the paragraph that I'm within is using 1.15 spacing. If I hesitate on 2.0, I'm getting a live preview to see it would double space that paragraph. Or if I hesitate on 3.0, it's triple spacing in between every line of that paragraph. But if I hesitate again on 1.15, that's what it's using right now. But also from this drop down, you can see at the very bottom of this drop down, it says add space before, remove space after the paragraph. Right now, I don't have extra space before the paragraph. But if I hesitate on that, I get a live preview to see that on my screen, exactly what that would look like. If I go to remove space after, it would remove that extra space at the bottom of that paragraph. We use those types of features to have things look more formatted in a user-friendly environment to make it easier on the reader of the document. Now, just so you can see, there is this line spacing options. If I choose line spacing options, it's going to open up the paragraph dialog box. From here, we can modify how much space do we want before the paragraph, after the paragraph, and how much do we want for our line spacing. So if you look kind of in the middle of the window, under the spacing category, it says before, there's no spacing before the paragraph, but after is 10 points. Think of that like a font size. Font size of size 10 is the space it's using at the bottom of that paragraph. So let's say that I decide to change that. I want before to be 25 and I want after to be 20. I can manually type it in or use the arrows on the right to go up and down. Once I click OK, it modifies this paragraph to have that 25 points above, 20 points below. If I select this paragraph, you can see that empty space ahead and the empty space underneath. So we're telling the computer, don't put anything for 25 points at the top of this paragraph or 20 below. If I change my mind and I say, oh, I don't really want that space above the paragraph, I can simply go back to the ribbon, to the paragraph group, click that icon again for line and paragraph spacing, and I can choose remove space before paragraph, and it will get rid of it. So you want to have some space in between paragraphs so that they're easier to read. Back in the day, a lot of times we would tab the first line of a paragraph. We would indent it a little bit. You don't really see that anymore, but you could. You still could do that, but we don't use that as often. And just so you know, in your handout, the paragraph spacing, line spacing, we also have information about using that paragraph alignment. So what we refer to by paragraph alignment is if I click my cursor to be in front of that paragraph, defragmenter consolidates, that second paragraph at the top of the document. If I press my tab key, it indents the first line of that paragraph. That is called the first line indent. If I press my backspace key, it's going to back it out to the left margin again. I could use my ruler to do that same thing. We can have hanging indents or first line indents on our paragraphs. So let me demonstrate a hanging indent. I'm going to use the ruler at the top where you can see on the left-hand side, well, it's got this gray area and then the white area. The gray area is our margin on the left, but then you see this hourglass looking icon. It's three separate things. The top icon, and by the way, you can get a screen tip when you hesitate on these. The top one is the first line indent. If I just click and drag that, however far I drag it, it will indent the first line of the paragraph. So I can drag it left or right. The second icon is the hanging indent. The second triangle that looks like it's pointing up, that's called hanging indent. If I click and drag that across the ruler, it indents the remaining lines, but not the first line of the paragraph. Hanging indent leaves the first paragraph at the left margin, indents everything else. So you may have seen that to have a paragraph stand out. I don't use that very often. I don't use either one of those very often, but just so you know, you could. If I drag that triangle on the ribbon back to the left-hand side, it moves the whole paragraph back. The last icon on that hourglass looking thing is a little square at the bottom. It's kind of like this little square at the bottom. That is actually for your left indent. I can have this entire paragraph change the indentation by clicking and dragging that left indent. So if I want it all to be indented at 1 inch on the ruler, we could do that same exact thing on the right-hand side by going to that triangle on the right-hand side. It's got a triangle pointing up. That's your right indent. So if I want this paragraph to be indented from the left and indented from the right, I use those to do that. It's not affecting anything else in the document. It's only affecting what I'm selected on, or my cursor was inside this paragraph, so it's only affecting this paragraph. So we have a lot of great features on that ruler that we can use. Hanging indents, first line indents. The ruler can control a lot of things in your document to make them look different. Now, of course, if you change your mind, you can move things back. You could either go to the ruler and move them, or for the left indent, I could have my cursor blinking in front of where it is, D for defragmenter, press my backspace, and it will back it all out to the left margin. Or I can go to the ruler and drag things. Click and drag if you want. Great options. So Matthew, did you have a question? Sorry, I wanted to get that finished here real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Someone was wondering if we start with a Microsoft theme, make edits to it to create our own personal style/theme, and click Save as a New Style Set. Will it add the new styling to the Microsoft library?
Yes.
Yes, it will. Yes. That's how you do that.
Great. Yes. So Perfect. What does that mean that we just said? Let me explain that. So what we just said was I can come in and create a theme. I could actually go to this document, change my styles to be whatever I want them to be. Or I could just create a new style, a new theme, I should say. Go to the Design tab, go to Themes, and then I could actually say, take everything that I modified in this document, save it as the current theme. You would be giving that a name. It saves it locally on your computer to your Microsoft templates, to your document themes, physical location. Every time that you open a new Word document, if you want to use that theme, all you do is go to Themes, choose it under Custom, and it will be there. Now, by the way, you can override the default template Word uses. Usually, if everybody needs it, Microsoft or your IT people will do that. Override the current theme to be your company theme. Okay. That's kind of a little bit more explanation, but real quickly, that's how you do it.
A bonus tip there. Awesome.
Absolutely.
And just to maybe to go back to those add space before / after function, can you adjust the default amount of space that those will create?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Now I'm chuckling because that's based on the style.
Yes.
That could be based on a style. So Perfect. If I select this text, just to show everybody that we could do this, if I go back to the Home tab, let's say that I want all my paragraphs, I want them to be indented a little bit, all the headings over to the left margin, but I want my regular paragraphs to be indented a little bit. I'm going to indent this paragraph a little bit. And I want it to have a specific line spacing. I want it to be single spaced, and I want it to have a specific line spacing. I want it to actually be 10 after, and I want it to be 2 before. Whatever I do to that paragraph for formatting, I can have it override the normal style. The normal style is what everything uses. So if I go to the normal style, do a right click like I showed earlier, I could say update normal style to match selection. All of them just updated. Even this heading, notice my ruler, it's indented because this was based on normal style. Now this is getting a little bit more complicated, but just so you know, you could do that.
And would this
Okay.
apply to all your Word documents that you created, or just this document? But
Just this one,
you
unless
could
we
save
save the
this.
theme.
Yeah, if you save the theme as a custom
Theme. Yep.
theme, then you can use it. Perfect. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Shalyn.
And or, sorry,
Oh,
like let's say that I have a paragraph that I want a special formatting for. Let's say that I select this text and I apply a special bullet. I go to my drop down for my bullets and I apply this bullet, or I created a custom one of a golf club or whatever the case would be. And I modify the spacing, I modify the font size, etc. I could save that as a style. So if I want to use that again later in my document, it can be a style that I don't have to go back and copy the formatting or figure out what did I do. I could take what I just did, and let's say that I want it to be a size 10, whatever the case. I can go to my styles gallery, click this drop down arrow. I can say create a style. I can give the style a name, and I'm going to call it bullets because it's using what I have selected. And I'm going to click OK. If I want to reuse that, all I do is select the text. I have it right here in my styles group. Click on it. I get exactly the same formatting consistently. And we can use it in other documents. I could go
wow,
on all
thank
day
you.
and talk about these shortcuts and these great little features that we have. Microsoft Word is more than just coming in and typing a document. It's very intelligent. It's a lot smarter than people give it credit for. It's really a great program. And I like these efficiencies because I don't want to have to work harder on a document and stay consistent. If I want the same things from one place to another kind of a thing. Okay. Now, by the way, using bullets and numbering is in your handout. Okay, just so you know, I did put information in your handout about using bullets and numbering, but I want to kind of keep an eye on the clock here. We've only got about 15 minutes or less to make sure we get any other questions answered. We also have ruler tab stops that I want to mention because these can be an important part of using Microsoft Word as well. So by default, and let me just go into a blank document real quick for this. I'll just go back to this blank document. I'm just going to press enter a couple of times. If I want to have tabs for my information to be separated or whatever, by default, I'm going to type in the word right. If I type right and I press tab, it automatically is set up to go every half an inch every time you press your tab key on your keyboard. But what if I want that to be different? What if I want to be able to say left, but then I want to be able to tab in and have it go to the 2-inch mark? Well, what kind of a tab stop do I want? At the top left of your vertical ruler, it's at the top of your vertical ruler, and to the left of your horizontal ruler is your tab stop markers. Right now it's on an L for left tab. If I click it, it goes to a center tab stop. If I click the ruler on number 3 right now, it's going to insert a center tab stop. If I go back to my tab stop icon at the top left, click it again, it does a right aligned tab stop. I'm going to click at 5.5 inch. Now I'm doing this kind of quick because we don't have too much time, but just to show you, my cursor is blinking after the word left. If I press my tab key, it's going to go to the 3-inch mark, and I'm going to type around the horn. It's centering that text under that center tab stop. If I press my tab key again, it takes me to the right aligned. If I type right aligned, it's aligning my text to be right aligned based on that tab stop. If I press enter again, it carries those down to the next line, to next paragraph technically. So if I type, here is the tab, press my tab, here I am right aligned on this. Notice how it's doing exactly the same things consistently down until I change my mind and I don't want them anymore. Then I could remove them. So when you see things being lined up on a document, tab stops are a great way to do that. I'm going to press enter one more time. And what if I don't want to use those tab stops anymore? I want it to go back to the defaults. I can go to the ruler, hesitate on the tab stop, drag it off the ruler. Hesitate, drag it off the ruler. Now it's back to the default tab stops. You may want to go back and practice with this, but just so you could see how that all worked. Even in your handout, I gave you how to set a leader tab. Have you ever seen a menu that will say an item and then have a bunch of dots and then a price, or see a table of contents? By the way, table of contents uses leader tabs. How do we create that table of contents? Table of contents can actually be added to a document by using styles. So let me go back to that practice file again. Remember, I was using styles throughout this document? What if I want a table of contents? I'm going to go to the top of this document and I'm going to insert a table of contents. I go to the References tab of the ribbon. So from the References tab of the ribbon on the left-hand side, I'm going to click Table of Contents. The first two, automatic table 1, automatic table 2, are built to use styles, headings 1, 2, and 3. So if I click automatic table 2, here is a table of contents based on all the styles I was using in my document. So every time I did a heading 1, it added it to the table of contents, a heading 2 or a heading 3. They're automatically added and it's using leader tabs. So it's doing ... and then automatically right aligning the page number. Table of contents, you should use styles so that it automatically creates the table of contents and we can update it. But before I do any of that, my cursor is blinking in front of using disk defragmenter. I don't want that on the same page as my table of contents. I actually want that to start on a different page. And what if I want that to be on an odd page number? I don't want it to be page 2. I want it to be page 3 because when I print it, I want to print back to back, like a book. I'm going to have my cursor in front of using disk defragmenter. I'm going to go to the ribbon to the Layout tab. On the Layout tab of the ribbon, I'm going to click Breaks. On the left-hand side in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click Breaks, which, by the way, this is all in your handout as well. So you don't have to memorize or be taking notes. I put this all in your handout. When you click Breaks, from the Section Breaks category, I'm going to click Odd Page. Now, what does it mean by section break, by the way? You can have multiple sections within your document. And each section can have different page numbers and or different headers and footers. So if I choose Odd Page, it moves that text down to start on page 3. So it goes page 1 with the table of contents, a blank page, then it has my odd page 3 starting the actual data. If I want to add a header to begin on page 3, I don't need a header on my table of contents. I don't need page numbers for my table of contents. What if I want to have page numbers for the rest of the document? And I want my table of contents to match those page numbers. First, I'm going to go to the top of this using disk defragmenter. I'm going to put my mouse at this empty space at the top, and I'm going to double click my mouse. When I do that, it brings me into the header section 2. because table of contents is section 1 in my document. It's going to be header 2. There's a new tab that opened on the ribbon called the header and footer tab. As soon as I double clicked into that header area of the page, it brought up that tab. From there, I'm going to go to this navigation group and unclick link to previous, because I don't want this header that I'm going to type in to be on the first section. I'm going to unlink it. So it's only going to start the header here. So I'm going to put in using this defragmenter as my title to be the header. Now I can select it, I can bold it, I can change the font size, whatever it is you need to do to it, you can change it. Like in your handout, I have the header at the top and then I have a line and it's centered. You could do any of that too. But it's only doing that on the header 2. I should say the second section all have this header, every page. But I'm going to scroll down and do a footer. If I go to this footer area, I'm going to click my mouse in the footer for section 2. And on the ribbon again, on that header and footer tab, I'm going to do that same thing. I don't want it to be page numbers on the first section. I'm going to unclick that link to previous, and I'm going to go to the left-hand side of the ribbon where it says page numbers, or I could just go to footer. Footer gives you pre-formatted options you can use to go at the bottom of every page of this section. So they have built-in options you could use. So whatever you want to use, you could choose it. Otherwise, you just go to page numbers and you could choose things from there. I'll just choose this retrospect one. And you could see it put my name on the left and my page number on the right. But my page number says page 3. I'm going to select that page number 3, because I don't want it to say page number 3. I want it to say page number 1, because this is the first page of the document itself, not the table of contents. I don't want those pages. I want this to start, page 1. I can go back to the ribbon to the header and footer tab, go back to page number. I can choose format page number, and I can say at the bottom of this, start at, instead of continue from previous section, I'm going to go start at 1. Click OK, and it now says page 1. If I scroll back up and I have my table of contents at the very top, there's no header, there's no footer. And technically there's an extra page there, but then using this defragmenter is page 1, and that's a new section. Just so you're aware, if I go back up to that table of contents, click the text where it says table of contents, not the actual, because these are hyperlinks. My mouse is a hyperlink to use those headings to navigate. But if you click the words table of contents, you get a little window that pops up. Choose update table. Update entire table, click OK, and if you added any new headings 1, 2, or 3 from styles of formatting your text, or the page numbers changed, it's going to update the table of contents to match. Now, I know that was a lot in an hour. Your handout gives you all of the details that I just talked about. It takes practice, and I gave you some extra things in your handout as well to kind of take that a little bit further. But I got to tell you, these are things that really make Microsoft Word shine. Using bullets, using numbers, using paragraph spacing can really help with formatting your document. But I seriously use styles every day. And so do you. Every time you're in Microsoft Word, you're using a style, but you probably didn't know it. You're using the normal style. But we have all those other styles we can use so that we don't have to work harder. Let the computer do the work so things will be consistent and they will stay updated. If we change something, it will change it everywhere. Okay?